Hi, good evening, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Malika Howard. I am the intramural chair of the Trial Advocacy Program. I just want to come in and let y'all know Trial Ad's role in this class. So we're gonna have at least 4 or 5 staff members sit in on y'all's trials. That's gonna be on the 15th and 16th. And we're gonna just observe y'all and give y'all scores, not grade y'all or anything, but have it for our records. And on the 17th, we will pick some of you to join Trial Ad, invite you all to join the staff. And then the following week, we're gonna have our annual intramural competition at the Eastern District Court of Louisiana, where we'll have judges come in and preside over y'all and watch y'all compete, and we'll have an award ceremony, and y'all will be honored at the Advocacy Center banquet. Trying to see, is there anything I'm missing, Shanice?
Yeah, just kind of a smaller version of what you all went through as first-year students, second semester.
Right.
This
Right.
is just for the 2Ls.
No, we will also invite 3Ls. We're not really looking to see whether or not you're a 2L or 3L. We want to see your skill and whether or not you're able to compete on national level when we travel.
Yeah, because there'll be teams that are traveling in the spring. So 3Ls, if they'd like to do it and get invited, 3Ls can do it as well.
Exactly. Y'all have any questions? All right, awesome. Can't wait to see y'all.
Thank you, Malika. We
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. Okay, well, today's class will be relatively brief. I think you all are sad about that. But what we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about what Monday is going to be like. That's Trial Notebook Day and group team meeting day. And then we'll talk briefly about the trials that start next week. So a lot of this we've already covered, but this is the last plenary session. So we figured this would be the time to address all questions and kind of give you a little overview of maybe things we've already said before. Okay, Monday at 5:35, the regular time for the performance sessions. Professor Lassen and I will be in this room. One of us will be sitting over there, one of us will be sitting over there. And we want the teams to come anytime between 5:30 and 6:30 together as a team with your trial notebooks. And then you will give us your trial notebooks. We'll flip through your trial notebooks, look at them, and talk to the team, answer whatever questions you all have about anything to do with the trial notebooks, the team, division of responsibility. We want you all to tell us who's doing what witnesses, just so we can make sure it all looks good, like a good plan. And then we'll look at your trial notebooks, and then you're free to go off and continue or start your team meetings. The adjuncts will not be here on Monday for that. It's just going to be Professor Lassen and I, but of course they are available if you need to track them down by phone or email. Email is preferred if you have any questions for them. But, and of course, we're going to get to trial schedules in just a second. So, anybody have any questions about the trial notebooks and the performance session on Monday? Good. Okay. Anything else to add on that, Blake?
No, except that I'm assuming that you all have some questions, or will have some questions about the trial itself, that you're ready to ask today. Is that right? We'll do that in a few minutes. I'm just going to go over some of the rudimentary aspects of the trial and the schedule and that kind of thing.
Good. So okay, we're done with trial notebooks. We're done with Monday, the plan for Monday and the plan for the trial notebooks. All right, good.
Do we just come in first come, first serve?
It's going to be first come, first serve. So if I were you all, I mean, we're not. There could be a queue up, line up out of the door with people waiting to come in with their groups. If I were you, some of you should come right away, but some of you might wait until 6. Some of you might wait till 6:15. But we're kind of thinking that the last people should come in here at 6:30. But I hope it's not like everybody. So try to figure out somehow how to space it.
Yeah, and you should think about any strategic questions that you may have. Questions that you wouldn't necessarily ask today because you don't want to disclose to the opposition that you may be thinking. So Monday would be the best time to ask those kinds of trial-specific questions regarding strategy that you might have. And that, that cuts across the spectrum. If it might be something as a theory of the case, or it might be something as specific as to a line of questioning for a particular witness. I'm sure you all have started thinking about, the structure of your case, and so hopefully by Monday you could have those kinds of questions ready for us to give you our input. Okay?
Okay, so that's Monday. The first trials are, when are they, Wednesday or Thursday? Wednesday?
The wedding trial.
The wedding trial's on Wednesday. Yeah, we were going back and forth whether it was Wednesday or Thursday, but now it's Wednesday.
Yeah.
Got it, okay. So as to the trials?
Yeah, well, not much to say other than that the schedules are posted, right? Everybody knows when they are going to try their case. You know with whom you're going to try your case and against whom you're going to try your case. And you know which adjuncts are going to be assigned to your particular trial. The adjuncts very much want to be involved in that trial process with you all, which is good, and I think that's.
So the schedules are all good with everybody. We don't have any last-minute schedule issues.
Wait, no, it's there.
Good. Okay, so the schedules are already set in stone. So it would take some serious dynamite to unstone schedules, if that's a word.
I guess it is. So the order of the trial, right? Each side will have 90 minutes. And as I indicated before, that's broken down into 15 minutes for every segment that each side is going to be required to do. An opening, 2 directs, 2 crosses, and a closing. You don't need to use all 15 minutes for each segment. We will have chess timers. We need to order some additional ones, right?
I've got one.
We have some in the advocacy center, a bunch of timers.
Okay, chess time.
Not chess timers, those egg timers.
We're not cooking eggs. We're playing chess.
We'll
Figure that out.
We'll decide whether
Yeah.
we want to invest in some more chess time, but we're going to try
I
to
bought
at
one
least
off Amazon for $19.
roughly adhere to those timeframes. Now, if you're doing, an opening statement, you don't need to use 15 minutes, but I would suggest you take a healthy portion of that time, at least 8 minutes, 9 minutes, to get your story across effectively, right? So we'll start with opening statements. Plaintiff will go first, then the defendant. Then plaintiff will proceed with their case in chief. Ask to call your first witness. You will do a direct examination of that witness. Then the opponent will get to do a cross of that witness.
All right, and an important point. When you're doing your direct, we're expecting the person who's going to cross that direct witness to be listening carefully to the questions and objecting to questions that are objectionable. Now, we haven't, the rooms are different. I mean, I've floated around the rooms, and in some of the rooms there's been some objecting. Some of the rooms, you tend not to want to object because you don't want to be a jerk. And a real-life trial lawyer would not object to some objectionable things just as a matter of strategy. But we want to, and the adjuncts are going to be expecting to see the person crossing that witness to be listening, and if there's a hearsay, a question that is calling for hearsay, we expect to have an objection, because your ability to object and your opponent's ability to respond and meet that objection are critically important. That's one of the skills involved in this course. So don't be a nice guy. Now, having said that, don't be a jerk either. Don't be interposing a lot of frivolous objections just to object about something. So,
Yeah, in fact, no frivolous
yes,
objections.
none.
They should be meritorious. Now, you may be wondering, oh my God, they're expecting me to object. I've got to find something objectionable. Trust me, it will come.
Yeah.
It will be there.
And if miraculously your opponent does everything perfectly, well, great.
Great.
You'll get points for not objecting.
Okay, it's like issue spot.
Right, exactly.
That's part of what's being tested. And so you're not gonna make up issues, but if one is there, you're expected to address it by way of an objection.
Right, and if objectionable stuff is coming in and you're not saying anything, that's gonna be, noted on. And if you're objecting frivolously to unobjectionable testimony, that's gonna be all noted too. So it's a long way of saying objecting matters, but not objecting for objecting's sake.
So, after the plaintiff's case is completed and plaintiff rests, defense side will go and you'll call your witnesses and they'll be crossed, et cetera. And then we'll open it up to closing arguments. Plaintiff will go first, then the defendant. And then there'll be critiques after the trial of each of your performance, verbal critiques.
Yeah, and again, in my circulating through the different groups over the course of the semester, the critiques were performed in different manners. Sometimes there were critiques during the student's performance, sometimes after an individual student's performance, sometimes after two performances. So, but one thing that's going to be clear in this trial is that there aren't going to be any critiques until it's all done, until both sides have rested and the closing arguments are over. Then the critiques start. So it may be different than what you've done all semester, but understand that that's the way the critiques will be done.
So, put yourself in the moment as an attorney. I know this is, a moot exercise, and they aren't real clients, but if you approach it as if they were, as if you were representing Jackie or Bearcraft, and you are trying to win this case using all the skills that you have developed over the course of the semester, that's going to put you in the best position to do what you need to do to get the most out of the course and to get the best evaluation possible. So live the moment as if it were really happening in real life and that the stakes are as high as if you have these clients, their livelihood and their future in your hands. So that's the best advice I can give at this point. You might be feeling a little bit overwhelmed right now because you're still developing, your case. Your openings and closings, the structure, the storyline, and then all of the persuasive skills that you're going to have to use in order to effectively tell that story. But the more prep you do, the better you feel about the case, and the more confidence you'll have, and the greater ease with which you're going to be able to manage, the inevitable nervousness that comes with trying the case. So preparation is the best tonic for that. And you feel, you know when you're ready, by virtue of the preparation you put into the case. So any questions about anything at this point? Yeah.
So we have 15 minutes for each piece, but does that allow time for redirect? I mean, as long as we don't go over.
Well, we're not going to hold you to the 15 minutes per piece. That's just how we came up with the allocation of 90 minutes. It's 90 minutes of your time, however you choose to use it. If you think a redirect is worth an extra 5 minutes, even though you've already spent 15 minutes on your direct, that is a tactical call on your part.
And also, time on your feet objecting counts towards your time. The clock is always running, so it's just a matter of whose mouth is moving.
So, the non-performing partner should have at least keep a rough track of what's going on. So if you're on the plaintiff side and you're doing a direct of Jackie, your teammate should be thinking about, well, how much time is that direct taking up? And you can use your iPhones or smartphones to keep track of that in some rough sense, so that you don't go on for half an hour, let's say, on one witness on direct.
Are we able to admit additional evidence that's not in the book, like if we wanted to create, say for example, it was trying to think of a hypothetical that won't give away the strategy. We wanted to present the National Institutes of Health's number of flu cases this year.
I think this is a closed exercise. The last thing we want people doing is roaming about the countryside looking for evidence.
You have enough in the file
Yeah,
to work with.
yeah,
Okay,
So don't make extra work for yourself.
okay.
right.
Just like you're free to call as many witnesses as you'd like, but, you know, do you need to really do that?
Now, having said that, if you wanted to bring in a helmet or something to use as a, you know, to pretend that it's the helmet, or if you wanted to use it as a demonstrative helmet, that would be okay, because the helmet is,
And there's a picture of the helmet in the book.
yeah, there's a picture of it, or you just use a picture of the helmet. But if you wanted to bring a real helmet, that'd be okay. That's about as far afield as I think we'd like you all to go.
Okay.
Can we reference witnesses and evidence that we didn't, like a witness that we didn't call?
What do you mean? How do you?
Like reading depositions into the record.
Like an evidence that you would have to come in through another witness, but you don't have time to call every
Oh,
single
yeah,
witness.
yeah.
Tim
So-
Anderson's testimony.
Right, so if you wanna assume, I mean, we're not gonna make you read any depositions into the record to chew up your time or anything. If you all want to, I mean, keep in mind that to do a deposition at a real trial, the witness would have to be unavailable. And I think, out of the interest of time, if you all want to just rely on some deposition testimony instead of calling a live witness, then I think we could presume that that witness is unavailable, but you're gonna have to stand up and make the offer of the deposition and lay a foundation for it under, because it's hearsay, it's an out-of-court statement, but it's gonna fall under the exception for declaring unavailable and,
But I think your question is more along the lines of, can we assume that all of these other witnesses that are in the file have testified consistent with what their deposition
Yes,
testimony?
like can
So
you just assume that and assume that all of the exhibits came in when they testified and use them in your closing, for example?
well, you're gonna have to offer that transcript and all the exhibits if you want, and it's not gonna be objectionable. I mean, the adjuncts are gonna be watching this. It'll come in, but you can't just assume that it's in, you're gonna have to offer it.
Okay, but let's take, for example, your
Or like
cross-examining.
the E-serve report, I'm not gonna call that guy on the stand, but can I reference the E-serve report as if it came in, when he testified?
Well, only if you, any witness who we have a deposition on, and you all want declared unavailable, you all can declare the witness unavailable and offer the transcript. You see, that's what you would do at a real trial. This has gotta be like a real trial. We can't just say, oh, let's pretend that the witness testified. No, we've got a deposition transcript. You can assume he's unavailable and put that into evidence along with the exhibits, and then rely upon it in your closing. I mean, that's a little, I'm being hyper-technical, but we're trying to do this as real as we can.
Okay, then when would we do that? When would we offer someone's deposition?
I would do it right at the very
The
beginning.
beginning? Okay.
Yeah. And the others, now, remember, you've got to coordinate with your opponents. They can't be there expecting to cross-examine that person, and you're not calling them. Then it's not gonna work. Remember, your opponents need to know who you're actually calling, so they can prepare for the crosses, and vice versa. So if you're not gonna call some witness, and you're just gonna put in their deposition testimony, and argue from that in closing, you need to get that all sorted out at the beginning and disclose to your opponents. Are we on the same page?
I guess we are now.
Well, yeah, I don't, we had discussed that issue.
Yeah, just kind of thinking it through. I was thinking, like, if Kim Anderson has testified that he had 2 martinis at lunch, and you're cross-examining, what's his face? Parker. I think your question would be, can I refer to Kim Anderson's testimony?
Well, if you're just asking a question about it, you could ask a question about anything, really. Yeah,
But then you're assuming that they testified. previously. If the,
If they hadn't testified, you would never say, you just heard 5 minutes ago,
right,
so and
so
so.
if you didn't actually call them, we can assume that they testified and reference those things. Or at the beginning, we're all gonna have to be, you know, all these people, are not available and here are all their depositions.
Yeah, that'll take 1 minute,
Okay,
but we all have to be on the same page, that's the
So
way.
we don't have to read the deposition?
No, we're not reading any depositions. But you can dump them into evidence. If you need to do some
Okay.
evidence dumps at the
Okay.
beginning, let's do the dumping at the beginning.
Okay, that makes sense, because you're not gonna want everybody
Right.
in every part of the
but I
episode.
may want
So
pieces
just
of
the
all
pieces
of
that you
the,
want.
right,
Yeah,
So that makes it clear and uniform for everyone.
right. And the basis for the evidentiary basis for dumping in the hearsay of the deposition is that they're unavailable.
okay.
And then be ready to cite that by chapter and verse, that provision of the code of evidence, the
Okay.
rules of evidence. I mean, again, it's not gonna take a minute, that's all.
I think she had her hand up before.
No, we talked about this with our professor, on Monday, and he said to just stand up and say that both sides have stipulated to the depositions and that we agree that that's like their.
That's fine too, as long as you've actually talked to your opponent and they stipulate. It doesn't really matter, it's gonna come in either way, either as stipulated, admissible,
Professor
stipulated.
Seeler wants some formal step
Okay.
Okay,
as to
Right.
your referencing this and not just blurting out some reference to it without any
Okay.
Exactly,
connection.
and that would be the two ways to do it. One by way of stipulation, or by way of offering up the testimony of the unavailable witness by way of
Okay.
deposition. Both of them would get it in.
Okay, that's not that difficult.
No, this is just why we're having tonight's meeting, just so we can all be on the same page, and the adjuncts too, watching the video, we can all be on the same page.
Off what she said, can we presume that the exhibits in the book are already admitted?
No,
Okay.
no.
Just about the video, our adjuncts have been bothered because they haven't been posted since October 6th.
Yeah, it's.
So like, just make sure it's posted so they can.
Oh, yikes.
October 9th.
Or 9.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, they've been lost every
What?
time. Yeah. That's
I
what
had
ours
no
just told
idea.
y'all to
I
ask.
wasn't told about it.
I don't have an answer for that.
Well, that's
But
terrible.
I do have the videos.
Yeah, well, let's get them
I've been
posted.
trying to upload them, but
Well, let's,
YouTube won't let me do it, and
yeah.
We
We're
can
gonna
talk
fix
about
this
it
problem.
after class.
Just wanna make sure they get
Thank
this
you.
video.
All right, other questions?
Y'all mentioned last class that y'all are gonna post the PDFs of the exhibits and stuff, or is that gonna be like?
Yeah, I've already done that.
Yeah, they sent an email.
Oh, you did? Okay. Okay.
I was hoping I already done that.
Yeah.
Is it on there too?
Other questions?
Oh, cool, okay.
Okay, we'll see you on Monday at 5:30.
Anytime between 5:30 and 6:30.
And where do we go? Just
Right here.
right here?